I am Brother Dr. Leonard C. McKinnis II, the Illinois District Director for Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And I am really, really glad to be here with you all this evening, all of you all in the virtual space who have joined us this evening for this important conversation. I am joined by Brother Michael Gaines out of Springfield, Illinois, who is the chair of our Racial, Social, and Economic Justice Community. Listen, a few weeks ago, we all watched as the Supreme Court took aim at affirmative action, which we know has profound impact on many of the communities that we serve. And as men of Alpha, it is always our duty to not be silent when these things manifest, but to inform our community, to be in conversation with those who are aware of what's happening so that we can better educate those around us on the impacts this may have on their life. So I asked Brother Michael Gaines, as the chairman of our district committee on racial, social, and economic justice, to put together his committee and work on a virtual panel to talk about these issues with our constituents. So listen, tonight you will be able to join in with us in the virtual space, raise questions, make comments, and engage as the night proceeds. So with that being said, I'm going to turn this over to Brother Gaines, who can make some comments and then introduce our moderator for this evening. Again, thank you all for joining us tonight. We look forward to a spirited conversation and everyone walking away with some new information about this and how it impacts you, those around you, and how we intend to move forward as men of Alpha in the great District of Illinois, where we constantly make noise. Brother Gaines, I turn it over to you, my brother.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Once again, my name is Michael Gaines, and I am the chair for the Racial and Social Economic Justice Committee with the District of Illinois. We are very excited about bringing this panel to you today. Many questions have came. What happens now? The Supreme Court has basically almost gutted affirmative action when it comes to college campuses. Well, we wanted to make sure that we brought you some great individuals who could talk about this and what we do next. From a college student, from an advocator, to a legislator, and even a board member of a university. So we're excited about the information that they're about to give to you, but to know that we can continue to strive and fight for what's right. Alpha Phi Alpha's motto is service of all. First of all, service of all, we shall transcend all. So that is what we're doing today. So our moderator today is Mr. Corey Marshall. He is a director in state of local policy at the Chamber of Progress. Thank you, Corey.
Thank you so much, Brother Gaines, for the hosting this panel tonight. I'd like to give a shout out to our district director, Brother Leonard McKinnis, and all of the esteemed members of the panel who will be joining us tonight. You know, it goes without saying that Alpha Phi Alpha has existed for over 117 years. I guess one could call us experts in serving our community. As Brother Gaines just noted, our motto is, first of all, servants of all, we shall transcend all. And tonight we're going to move into transcending, to move into part of the transcendence for our community. You know, just a few weeks ago, we saw the Supreme Court take our country into a very, very dark place. And I think the most resounding voice we heard during this tumultuous time was that of Justice Ketanji Brown. And I quote a part of her dissent tonight before we start this panel. I quote, "With the let them eat cake obliviousness, a few weeks ago, the majority pulled the ripcord and announced colorblindness for all by legal fiat. But deeming race irrelevant in law does not make it so in life. And having so itself from this country's actual past and present experiences, the court has now been lured into interfering with the crucial work that the UNC and other institutions of higher learning are doing to solve America's real world problems." And she ended this by saying, "No one benefits from ignorance. For over 117 years, Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has been fighting against willful and unwanting ignorance." With that, I'd like to bring on our brothers for this panel tonight. Brother Doug Shaw is joining us. He's a trustee at Western Illinois University. Welcome to you, Brother Shaw. Brother Ken Page is a leader at the Springfield ACLU. Welcome to you, Brother Page. Student brother, leader, college brother, Salifu Habib is joining us tonight from the University of Illinois Too Tough Tall chapter. Welcome to you, Brother Habib. And the one and only, I have to say again, the one and only, if we were in a live audience, I'd say a drum roll, please. The brother, Senator L.G. Sims. Welcome to you, Mr. Senator.
Thank you, my brother. Thanks for having me.
Brothers, thank you. Thank you all for joining us. I'm going to allow each of you to open up with a quick introduction, and then we'll dive right into tonight's program. We'll start with the esteemed Senator L.G. Sims.
Thank you, Brother Marshall. And first, let me congratulate and thank Brother District Director Dr. Lynn McInnes for having the foresight to put together and put the call the action out. And I want to thank my pledge son and chapter brother Michael Gaines, who's our chair, for standing up and putting together this work to make sure that we have the ability to talk about these issues, to have the ability to not just talk, but to formulate action plans to make sure that we're prepared to go to the next level. It's easy to talk about problems. It's much more difficult to formulate solutions. And that's what we're here tonight to do, to formulate solutions, to make sure that we are taking our communities forward. Because while the opponents to progress, they're celebrating, but they're also planning. They're planning their next move. They're planning how they're going to continue to erode the progress that we've made, but also to erect obstacles to ensure we don't continue to make progress. And that's why it's so important that we have these types of discussions to plan for the future, to plan for and erode the attacks on progress that are being made. So I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to continue representing the amazing people of Illinois 17th District. It's my privilege to have been the 26th Regional Vice President of the Midwestern Region and also our Illinois District Director. So I know the work that Brother Dr. McInnes and his team are going to do. So I just want everyone to thank him at the outset for all the work that he is doing.
Thank you, Brother Sims. And what a way to set the stage. It's easy to talk about problems. It's more difficult to formulate solutions. And brother, we know that you are not a stranger to formulating solutions. Next, we're going to go over to Brother Doug Shaw, just to give a quick introduction of how you want to frame this conversation tonight. Brother Shaw.
Good evening, and I want to thank the Commission on Racial, Social, and Economic Justice in Alpha Phi Alpha District of Illinois for hosting this event. I am Doug Shaw, current member of the Board of Trustees and the immediate past chair for Western Illinois University. I'm also a former Board of Education president for Peoria Public Schools, served as an adjunct professor for the University of Springfield, and I served at Caterpillar in IT for 26 years. It's a pleasure to be here tonight. Looking at the origins of affirmative action, it was designed to counter employment discrimination. This is discrimination against those who were capable of doing the work, but were shut out based on race. This was not exclusion based on merit, but exclusion based on race, and in some cases, religion, national origin, and gender. Over the decades, the concept of affirmative action has been rebranded maliciously, in my opinion, in some circles to mean unearned access for unqualified minorities. This was never the case. In fact, had we ever had a true meritocracy in this country, there wouldn't have been a need for affirmative action. This was a makeup call, and it was woefully inadequate at that. I believe the ruling on affirmative action is indicative of a larger program aimed at rolling back any progress we've gained, and it sets a new tone. I think we'll find that the relatively few Black students attending the most selective universities are highly qualified. We should also take note that Black students at top universities are not necessarily there because of affirmative action. Interestingly, in the process of attacking affirmative action, the legacy admission programs received some unexpected spotlight. How many qualified students were denied access due to these legacy programs? The Supreme Court ruling has some impact on my institution, Western Illinois University. One scholarship, the Justice, Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Scholarship, had race as a criterion and will be discontinued in the spring of 2024. However, the university has been able to find alternate funding for those students, for the impacted students. And once again, thank you for the opportunity to serve on this panel. Alternate funding for those students, for the impacted students.
Thank you, Brother Shaw. Thank you. A trustee at the Western Illinois University. What a panel we have tonight. Next, we're going to go over to Brother Ken Page, and last we'll go to Brother Habib. And we're saving the best for last because this brother is a part of our pipeline to leadership. Brother Page.
Thank you, Brother Marshall, and good evening, brothers, and everyone that's on here. My name is Ken Page. My pronouns are he, him, his. I am president of the Springfield American Civil Liberties Union. And what's really remarkable about this court is that they have told us who they were and what they were going to do. And several justices have made it very clear that anything that deals with race, equity, inclusion, those are the things that they're going after. So we can look at those things throughout this country and know that it may not come next, but it is on their chopping block. So what the ACLU is doing, we cannot violate. We're not going to go against the law of the land. We're going to work with institutions to better themselves and work with the community to make sure that the change that happened with this court was done at the ballot box. And that change that's going to happen to this court again is going to be done at the ballot box. So, we are encouraging that the voting and with the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, a voteless people is a hopeless people, and we've come under that and under that whole thing about with that whole issue about not hopelessness, but it almost seems hopeless for us at this time with this new court, with this activist court. So we will continue to work with communities, grassroots, at the grassroots level to make change. And we know it can happen. We know what happened in the state of Georgia, and it happened at the grassroots level with Black women. And we will continue to work to do that, because what happened with this court, the way this court came to be seated, was at the ballot box, which is unfortunate. So we're going to discuss that with affirmative action, but the court has shown us who they are, and we should believe that's who they are. So we should not they may throw a little tidbit at LG, and then Senator Sims will know that here and there to appease us. So it's like, oh, they're wonderful, but then they come and they cut three and four legs from under us. And so we should be mindful of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Page. I think I forgot who coined it, but when it's often said, when they show you who they are the first time, believe them. This court has definitely shown us who they are. And finally, we'll go over to Brother Salifu Habib. This recent ruling struck at the heart of our U.S. college admissions process. We'd love to hear your take and you to give us an opening on what you want to see as a part of this conversation tonight, Brother Habib.
Well, good evening, brothers and everybody on the panel. It's truly an honor to be joining the panel and being able to talk about this issue that's not only affecting students like me, but people in their occupations as well. I'm a senior here at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, studying molecular and cellular biology, and I'm also the president of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated Tall Chapter. What I have to say about affirmative action right now in terms of college admissions, well, first off, I agree with what Brother Page said about and also what Brother Marshall said about if they show you who you are once, then we need to be mindful of that and start planning now. And so I really do appreciate the opportunity to be on here and give my perspective on what college bros like me can do on campus as well as in our communities, and what older bros can do as well. So for me, honestly, it's harder. It's looking like it's about to be very difficult for African American students, Black students to be able to get into highly selective universities. There's already a whole bunch of barriers in the way of them being able to be admitted into college, such as financial reasons, and it's really not on the student. It's always going to be some type of external issue, and so with this also getting in the way of African American and Black students being able to get into these highly selective universities, we can definitely see that it might be a decrease in the numbers. Mm-hmm.
Thank you, brother. Thank you, brother. You know, brother, the first question we're going to go to Brother Doug Shaw, and I just have to say, Brother Ken Page really outlined that this ruling that we see and so many other ones that we saw the High Court recently passed down is connected to the ballot box, and that we won't take this lying down. And we know we're Alpha Brothers. We're definitely not going to take this lying down. Brother Shaw, the question for you is that in 1996, the California university system implemented a ban on affirmative action and utilizing race in admissions. Within that first year of that ban, Black and Hispanic student populations plummeted by 40%. What are some efforts that universities are implementing to circumvent the effects on the related to the ban on affirmative action that will have an impact on campus diversity?
Thank you, Brother Marshall. Western Illinois University is a smaller public university, so solid students coming from high school at or near B average are admitted, and you have conditional admissions available for students that are near but slightly below that level. It's still very early in the process to determine the true impacts of the ruling, but for WRU, our success and diversity is tied more to our recruitment and retention efforts than to the impacts of the ruling. The highly selective universities will be impacted, but they are still reviewing that ruling and they are adjusting their programs to ensure compliance with that ruling. Once they're in compliance, then they're going to look for ways to continue to track that diversity in light of those changes. So it's still very early in the process.
Yes, it definitely, most definitely is. Thank you for that. Brother Sims, Brother Senator Sims, a question for you. As attacks continue against such programs, what can state lawmakers and other public policymakers do to further protect human rights of these historically protected classes?
Brother Marshall, thank you for that. Let me pause for a moment, because to me it's beyond hypocritical for us to even be in this moment, in this space. We talked about how legacy admissions are still allowed, how admissions related to sports are still allowed, but we are having this discussion as if affirmative action somehow means that someone is not qualified, and that is really disturbing. So what we are doing here in Illinois, and what I heard from Brother Shaw as a trustee, that there are instances right now where even where the Supreme Court's decision didn't touch scholarships, there are folks who are proactively removing scholarships from students, even though that the decision has nothing to do with scholarships. I had several of my college interns this summer who go to school in other states, in the states they proactively eliminated scholarships, diversity-based scholarships for those students after they've already been admitted. There was an agreement for financial aid for the year for the student to have financial aid, and the schools took it upon themselves to be proactive in removing those scholarships, an agreement that they made with the student when they chose the university. What we are doing here in Illinois, and what we're going to continue to do, is erect pathways to success, eliminate barriers and obstacles that keep people from being able to be their best selves. I'm so proud of my brothers to be able to sound the alarm and the crisis that we have, and the crisis that this decision is creating. Brother Habib, I am amazed, and I appreciate you, Brother President, for stepping up and stepping into the shoes and stepping in place for college men across not just the state of Illinois, but the entire fraternity, because we are already at a crisis level. Before the pandemic, African American student enrollment was down over 34% here in the state of Illinois. We were down from 107,000 students in just 2013 to just over 70,000 Black students across Illinois colleges and universities in 2019. So what the Supreme Court has now done is exacerbated a problem that was already at crisis level. So what we have to do is make sure that we are engaged. We are going into not just high schools, but going into elementary schools and preaching the benefit of college, going into those spaces and ensuring that those young people have access to pathways. They are able to see individuals who have made that track. Not everybody's going to be successful as a star athlete or a rapper, but there are going to be individuals who are going to be mechanical engineers. There are going to be individuals who are going to be cybersecurity professionals. There are going to be individuals who are accountants. There are going to be individuals who are attorneys. We have to demonstrate and show those young people those pathways to success, as opposed to allowing them to believe that the only pathways to success for them are on the court or in the studio.
Absolutely. Brother Senator Sims talks about the benefit, like highlighting the benefit of college. There are so many benefits. We're going to go over to Brother Habib. You have the opportunity, like many of us did when we were college brothers, to benefit from such amazing leadership. How can Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated aid college chapters in building a coalition with other organizations to ensure the retention of Black students, as every component of our daily lives is under attack? What is the tone and sentiments on campuses currently, and what can the brothers do to assist in the fraternity as a whole?
Well, definitely. I have to agree with Brother Senator. We first off, we need to start exposing ourselves. Alpha is full of Black professionals, so we need to expose the youth to Black professionals so that they can aspire to become the same thing. We can't expect students to, we can't expect students to want to pursue higher education or anything like that if it's not in their sphere, if they're not exposed to it in their environment. So we simply need to get into their environment. In terms of building coalition with other organizations, we can ensure better resources for students as well as retention by partnering up with college preparedness organizations such as Chicago Scholars, which I am a part of. That is a college preparedness organization that I was a part of. I had the opportunity to be part of my junior and my senior year, and they're still keeping up with me to this day, making sure that I'm okay, making sure that I'm still enrolled in school, and I'm still pursuing my dream of becoming that microbiologist in the future. And so building, we have a whole bunch of bros that are professionals. All of our brothers are professionals, so it should be easier than for us to network and connect with these college preparedness organizations like Target Hope, Upward Bound, Hope Chicago, build a coalition through volunteerism, because on their pages they have opportunities for people to mentor and people to volunteer. If we can get an allotted amount of bros to volunteer for that particular organization, as well as maybe endorse that organization, fund them, then that'll be more money that the organization in totality can give in aid to students in order to also, promote that retention inside of school. Right. So, and also that will be knocking out two birds with one stone, but also showing the youth that we're exposing the youth to people like us. We're professionals. So at the end, they're gonna want to become professionals in the end. So we'll be knocking out all of the stones just by tapping in and getting connected with these college preparedness organizations as well as scholarship initiatives.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brother Habib, for that. Good to note that you were a member of an alum of the Chicago Scholars Program, a wonderful program here in the city of Chicago. I was actually in the Upward Bound program, and you are 100% right. These programs need expanded funding federally through the state. Send Brother Sims an email after this is over tonight, and have some more conversations with him. Our next question is for Brother Ken Page. Brother Page, the legal system has been a long battleground for creating equity in response to the historic injustices in this country. Can you talk about some of the ACLU's strategies in continuing these efforts with the current makeup of the federal bench?
Thank you, Brother Marshall, for that question. And the ACLU, Illinois ACLU, our legal director, was just appointed to the Eastern District of New York, the federal bench, Nusrat. And she's the first Bangladeshi American on that bench. And the ACLU has always pushed for judgeships because we know it's extremely important. You know, we've had a lot of judges that have come out of the ACLU that have gone on the bench. And one that you all are familiar with, she's deceased now, is Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's important for the organizations that exist to look at those opportunities. And we have opportunities now with the current administration for appointments to those benches. And we should, as Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated,
Yeah.
we should have names that we are putting forth to our senators, our U.S. senators in each state. You know, each district should have names, brothers or even sisters that they feel that should be going forward. And that's how you do that, because that's going to change how things are done. And if we don't push it, other people will push their people. And we know that past administrations have stacked the courts with their people. And so that's what we need to do. And we need to push that. We need to push people that we know that will work for equity, inclusion, diversity. And so until we do that, we'll be standing outside knocking on the door saying, we're not on that bench, and we know, but we're doing that. The ACLU is doing that, and I'm sure that, and I know, and I hope, and I'm hopeful that we can do that as an organization as well, and other organizations, like-minded organizations like us, can do that as well.
I love it, Brother Page. I love the fact that you just raised Brother Sims or anyone else. I don't think that Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated has to date pushed a list of folks we'd like to see placed on the federal bench, including many of our esteemed brothers. Again, Alpha Phi Alpha, for our listening audience and the brothers here gathered tonight, we are 117 years old. We come from the cloth of Supreme Court Justice Thurgood Marshall, a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha, who set the standard for what leadership looks like on the high court. And I know we can do better. That's probably something for our brother District Director, Brother Gaines, for us to truly look into. Our next question is going to be for Brother Doug Shaw. When the most recent ruling on affirmative action came out, I quickly ran to the Supreme Court website to see what to read the dissent, and I just I cannot get it out of my head what Justice Brown said, and I have to go. This was what I said in my opening, with the "let them eat cake" obliviousness that the court showed us a few weeks ago. The majority pulled the ripcord and announced colorblindness for all by legal fiat. Is there any true sense of colorblindness? The question for you, brother, is it's stated that public universities should reflect the demographic makeup of the state's public high school demography. What are your thoughts on possible state policies that can ensure public universities' racial makeup is proportional to the state's public high schools' racial makeup? One such policy we can see in Texas HB 588, where the top 10% of the class automatically was accepted to the top 10%, the top two colleges and universities. Would this be a viable solution to keep Black students at selective universities? Or do you think there are other models that we should be looking towards to implement across the country? You're muted, brother.
Okay, thank you again, Brother Marshall. And I do agree with the top 10% policy. WIU does automatically admit the top 10% of students coming out of high schools, and our overall admission standards are very attainable. And again, even students with some academic challenges falling outside of those standards can be admitted conditionally in our REACH program, where they are paired with a mentor and they receive additional support and guidance. For the highly selective universities, the top 10% policy may not be enough, but that line could be set higher, perhaps 5%. But those administrators will have to review their admission standards to set such a policy. So again, I've been reading on the highly selective universities, and right now they're kind of in a reactive mode. and I'm sure we'll see some policy changes as they move forward in the next semesters.
Thank you, my brother. Our next question is going to be for Brother Senator Sims. Brother Sims, many people debate the role of the Supreme Court. Conservatives often call the members of the court activists for previous historical decisions such as Roe versus Wade or Brown versus Board of Education. With this recent decision being made on reproductive rights, affirmative action, as an attorney and a lawmaker, what is your perspective on the current court and its role as being an activist bench?
You know, I'm first. It's amazing to me that, and then unfathomable to me that encouraging differences has become a bad thing, or atoning for past wrongs is a bad thing, or where we ensure that everyone is a part of one human family is a bad thing. But that's what we continue to hear, and what's also amazing to me is that you'll have individuals celebrating these decisions, these attack on personal freedoms, while on one side of their mouths, while at the same time ignoring decisions out of the other one. So this Supreme Court, they called on the state of Alabama to go back and redraw their congressional maps to create a second Black congressional district. What did the state of Alabama do? They ignored that decision and redrew the maps in a way that would maintain the status quo. What we are seeing is individuals picking and choosing what they want. They are only taking the ones the ideas and the decisions that they agree with and discarding the other ones. That is not how the law works. That is not how policy works. We can have differences of opinion. We have them all the time. But now we have entered this very dangerous territory where if it's not enough for us to have a difference of opinion, now not only do we have a difference of opinion, you're my enemy because we have a difference of opinion. It's very dangerous. You know, we are past this prologue, and for those all the brothers on this call who know me, they know I'm an avid reader, and I'm also a student of history. And when you see the things that have happened come to pass, and you will see that there are things that happened in the past are happening again now. We are living the backlash of the second Reconstruction. We are essentially living that. After Reconstruction happened in the 1800s, there was a backlog that spurred the Black Codes, that spurred Jim Crow. Now we are living in a backlash now where we have made significant progress. And now you are seeing the progress that we've made over years with affirmative actions being taken away, and nothing is sacred. Back to your opening comments, Brother Marshall. Affirmative action is the issue of the day, but we are talking about reproductive health care. There's attacks on freedom. There's attacks on voting rights. Nothing is sacred. And that's why I talk about us needing to plan and prepare and be able and be prepared to fight on the same battlefields where these battles are being fought right now. They should be fought in school district boardrooms, and in city council rooms, and in state legislatures, and in courthouses, because that's how the opponents to progress are making their gains. They are fighting in these areas, and they are fighting in these venues, and we have to be prepared to do the exact same thing. So when Brother Page talks about having a bench ready to go to make sure that we have individuals who are sitting on the bench, who are at least, we're not trying to, what I heard Brother Page say was not that individuals who want progress are trying to stack the bench. What they're asking for is an opportunity to have a discussion and look at the law in a true colorblind way, so that progress happens. So I before I close, Brother Marshall, because I'm concerned, because we are in this moment. Just recently in Texas, there was a qualified African American woman who was set to take over the journalism department at Texas A&M University. the trustees, in an unprecedented move, the trustees of Texas A&M University opposed this qualified African-American woman because she was employed by the New York Times and some of her past writings. One of the trustees went so far as to say the resurrection of Texas A&M's journalism program was intended to put more conservative voices into mainstream media. When you control the way someone thinks, you control that person. And that's what is very dangerous about where we are right now.
Absolutely, absolutely, Brother Sims. You said it best. Encouraging. We now live in a zeitgeist where encouraging differences is a bad thing. This next question, we're gonna go over to Brother Habib. We know you're on a college campus. Brother Sims highlights the fact that we now live in a time where it's bad to disagree with folks, and he eloquently stated that's not how the law works. That's not how public policy works. Brother Habib, what are your thoughts on how we can foster, in light of the decisions, all of the decisions that Brother Senator Sims outlined, what are your thoughts on fostering healthy debate in our country? Is there a way for us to respect ideas that we don't like, which should be the way we help push the needle in our democracy?
Absolutely. That was the whole point of affirmative action anyway. It was to foster more diversity within institutions so that individuals can be able to grow up and actually learn like social experiences, learn from their social experience to have a better social attitude, to be able to to be able to live in society properly while we're acknowledging and respecting people's differences. And so if we could do that, it hasn't left. That hasn't left. And the way for us to continue that, to promote this, is simply through really college bros like me can create these spaces. College bros needs to start organizing, pretty much. So we need to start organizing panels, which we do now here at Tall. Is we organize panels on a year for service initiatives and stuff and events, so that students can have conversations, whether it be about just their experiences here on a college campus, being a person of color, or anything else, etc. College bros need to organize and make these places, because oftentimes we see that the university tries to, may try to take away these type of safe spaces for people of color and Black people. As we can see, like, even some of our students were hearing that our cultural center was going to be eliminated. All the cultural houses were going to be eliminated at some point. And so hearing things like that, we need to be able to maintain these types of spaces for our people, so that we can be able to have retention in college and also stay, because is a whole bunch of external factors into, having retention into college, and not just individual merit or financial reasons, but there's other concerns as well. And that is one of them, the social climate of institutions.
Thank you, brother. Our next question is going to be for Brother Ken Page. Brother Habib talked about what the college students should be doing, how they can organize. Brother Page, a question for you is: what actions are organizations like the ACLU, NAACP, and other organizations taking in response to this ruling? Are we even seeing a spike in membership or activism from the American people in these organizations in light of this activist court?
That's a great question, and to Brother Habib as well. I want to say that you do not stand alone in your activism.
Yep.
There are other organizations out there just like you that are fighting for it on the college campus. Look at those other organizations and you partnership with them, and have no fear in partnershiping with other organizations, because you're greater in numbers, and that's your strength. That's where your strength comes from, because it's going to take all of us working together to make that change. And the ACLU is the foremost organization that's been out there protecting the constitutional rights of all people in this country. When they erode the rights of one group of people, then the door is open for them to erode the rights of other people as well. And it just keeps going and going and going. So we saw that with voting rights. We saw that with reproductive rights, LGBTQI rights, and so forth and so on. So, we have to stand with those organizations that we may have never stood with, but you will find we're greater in numbers, and that's where our strength, because some of those organizations have resources that we may not have, that would give us a better platform. And so you can do that. So always look you know, and it's something that, and come out of your comfort zone. And Senator Sims can attest to that. You come outside of your comfort zone because you never know where you will need the next group that will support you. And it's that group that you never thought about that will have your back. So always do that. So the ACLU will continue to protect the constitutional rights of all people in this country, and even immigrant people in this country as well. So, but I think it's important for our college brothers and on those college campuses and in those diversity offices, look at all those other organizations that you can partnership with and grow your strength and everything. And you know, and say, you know, and with this whole thing with affirmative action, we probably should go. We always say we go where we're wanted. So you look at the HBCUs. So that's a whole nother discussion. But we always went during the movement, and I grew up in Selma, Alabama. So we went to the stores that appreciated us. So they always say go where you are appreciated. But you know, we look at all those different things, but our numbers spiked with ACLU when the 45th president was elected, and those issues with reproductive rights. And I think we should be just as tenacious, and we should be out there in the streets just as they were with regarding reproductive rights. I mean, you had hundreds of thousands of people. And so our membership grew exponentially because everybody said, you know, but I think it was the first attack on something that a precedent that had been set in this country. And that's what threw people for a loop. It's like, oh my God. So, but I don't want us to become comfortable because this is important to us. Affirmative action has always been. And so it is set out to right some of those wrongs that have happened in this country all of these years and everything. So it's important to us as people, not only Black people, it's important of all people. And I appreciate my college brother, and I appreciate them working with other organizations to build that platform. And your strength will be in numbers, and you'll be surprised. And Brother Sims will tell you, he may not know, but it's those other organizations that you never thought about that will support you strongly in your stance on a lot of things. So continue to do that. And the ACLU will continue to protect the constitutional rights of all people, even though some of them may be eroded by the courts. But we will still fight for those rights of people to exist in this country.
Thank you, Brother Page. For our listening audience, if you're listening on YouTube, this is a commercial, I guess. If you're listening on YouTube, if you're viewing this on Facebook, we encourage you to submit some questions. We'll be sure to try to get to those questions during this panel discussions. Also, we encourage our brothers and supporters out there to share the YouTube link on your social media channels. Also, share the Facebook link. It's really easy. You right click the share button and share that so folks can be engaged in this conversation with us. Brother Page started to dive into HBCUs. That's where our next question is headed. This question was submitted to us from our former Illinois District Director, Brother Rizal McKinney. And we're asking, Brother Sharp, we're giving you this question. And we know that you're a trustee at Western Illinois University. We know that you have a hand and a vote in $213 million plus budget. The question is, with the recent Supreme Court decision, there's a push for African-American students to attend HBCUs. How do you think Illinois colleges will respond to this push when HBCUs may be a better option that will welcome African-American students?
Thank you again, Brother Marshall, and good evening, Brother McKinney. That is a great question. I first of all, I'm proud of any student that crosses the stage, no matter where they go. I love our HBCUs, but obviously we're in competition for the same students. I think our state universities need to be able to communicate their core competencies, and there are things that each one of our state universities is great at, and we need to let those students know we need to let them know. We need to market, and we need to market that value. For some students, cost is a factor, and if we can provide an excellent education and at a great value, at a great price point, then I think we can be competitive. And we need to work on our towns, Our mayor in Macomb has done a lot to try to make that a more welcoming environment. Over the years, we've had some issues, and I know that he's trying very hard to change those things. So I think we just need to be competitive. We need to be creative, communicate our value, and and go after it.
Thank you, brother. Thank you. And while this next question is for Brother Senator Sims. While we're on the subject of college admissions and HBCUs, Brother Senator, some argued that the court's decision regarding affirmative action at institutions of higher learning will have an impact on other race-based programs seeking to establish equity, such as corporate hiring policies and board diversification. What are your thoughts on the future of other race-based programs? And, I'm pointing at Florida right now.
Let me. That's a great question, and I come back to something I said earlier in terms of us not being silent. And there's a quote by former pastor Martin Niemöller, who said, first they came for the communists and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a communist. And they came for the socialists and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a socialist. And they came for the trade unionists and I didn't speak out because I wasn't a trade unionist. But then they came for me and there was nobody to speak out. And that's why it's important for Alpha Phi Alpha to lift up his voices in this moment. We've made tremendous progress here in Illinois across a number of areas, from, as you mentioned, diversity in thought, diversity in investment, diversity in board membership. That's why we can't be silent. And it's what frustrates me is that the opponents to progress, when you want to lift up your voice and say and demand equity, they somehow try to diminish your voice as an attack on them, or or reverse racism. When that's why you hear the screams of privilege when you have individuals when individuals are used to having their way, and then the circumstances change so that they are not able to have their way in the way that they're used to. It somehow feels that they are under attack. When you have to share, and you have to give other individuals and other groups the same access that you've had, it somehow feels like an attack. I had someone, very dear friend of mine, who was of another race, who said that they were offended at the discussion of white privilege because they grew up poor. They pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and they didn't feel privileged. And so what I said to them was, the very fact that you don't see the benefits that are newer to you, that don't present themselves to others. You have individuals who, and Brother Shaw eloquently talked about this. Affirmative action is somehow has been demonized as the ability of unqualified people to gain access to places where they're not supposed to be, and that's just not true. What they have been called, they've been called legacies, they've been called preferences, they've been called the law, and somehow somehow said to us as if that we should be okay. And now when people are lifting up their voices, and now when people are saying, recognize me and my talents, similarly to someone else, that is somehow I'm being somehow disingenuous or offensive by asking for I'm asking for equity. I'm asking for treatment that's similar to something that you've enjoyed for centuries. We have to lift up our voices. We have to continue, and that's why I am adamant about us going into spaces and going into places where we have not traditionally been, but also then fighting on those same battlefields where other folks are fighting, in school board rooms and city councils and state legislatures and Congress and the courts. And that's why we have to be adamant about that. We can't celebrate one victory and then go to sleep and go back to our regular lives. We have to constantly stay on guard. That's why you have organizations like the ACLU that are critical in this fight. That's why you have the work that Alpha Phi Alpha is doing is critical in this fight, to ensure that we are staying vigilant and we're staying diligent about the progress that we've made, because we have to protect it for not just for now, but for future generations as well.
Thank you, Brother Sims. And it's all about the future generation. This is the Alpha Phi Alpha show today, and I want to get all of your 30-second hot takes. We're going to go to you first, Brother Shaw. I'd love to hear you all respond very quickly. Recently, Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity did something very unprecedented. We pulled our convention, one of our conventions, out of the state of Florida because of the impenetrable attitude of the current governor. Brother Shaw, what is your response to that, and how active on Alpha's decision to do that?
I'll just give you an example. If I go to a store and I'm being treated poorly, I'm not going back to that store. I'm not going to pay you to mistreat me. So if we as a fraternity feel that we don't agree with the recent activity in Florida, by all means, we should pull out and we should go to a place where we're welcome. So I agree fully with that decision, and hopefully things like this will have an impact and they will change course in Florida. So thank you.
Thank you, my brother. I see Brother OK Inya is tuned in live, and it's a little ironic that he typed the very question I was just presenting. I swear he typed it at the same time that I got ready to ask you, brothers, a question about Alpha pulling our convention out of the state of Florida. Brother Page, what is your take on that, and how we move forward and how we navigate?
Well, Black Americans have a great buying power. We spend a lot of money. And I think that when economies know that we mean business, see, they've been too comfortable knowing that they can treat us anyway, any kind of way, and we will still patronize them. Even though we could not move out of Texas because Abbott is just as worse, because we didn't want to lose the money, but sometimes we're going to stand on that rock, and we may stand on that rock alone. But our economic spending power is great in this country. And so not only us, but the Divine Nine should all be doing the same thing. Because once they know we mean business, then a lot of that will change, because money talks, and cash is really the American way. They still pass cash around behind closed doors. But it's important for everybody to remember that spending power that we have is great. Yes. But if we don't leverage it, then it does us no good to have it. And everybody in America, every corporation in America knows it. Every industry in America knows it. And so that's why they do everything to make sure that Black people, this is especially for Black people. But when we stand on that, and this should not be a precedent. This should be standard for all of the Divine Nine, that we're not going to accept the way that you treat people in any way. So we're out of here. And we may come together. We have to lose some money. We may come together and fill each other's coffers to say that we stood on that principle. And I think once they get it, then they get it. And then that changes the way people treat people as well. So, and I'm glad that we did that, because a lot of us was uncomfortable with Texas, but we were, and I'm glad we were able to pull out of Florida. And we had that opportunity to do that. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're coming over to you, Brother Habib, next, and then to Brother Senator Sims. It should be noted, Brother Chuck Smoot sent us a note. We have to remember what we did with Florida was not unprecedented. We did the same thing with Arizona a few years ago over the King holiday and moved it to Vegas instead. Brother Habib, what is your take on what we did in Florida?
I think it was an excellent move. It's time for change. We as Black people are not going to stand for being mistreated, as well as we're not going to stand for our education on actual history to be changed, so that the younger generations don't know the history, their rich history, and what has happened to us over time. And so for Florida to just try and change their education and try and dodge away from our history is unacceptable. And I'm taking that personal too, because I've worked for 6 weeks as a servant leader intern for the Freedom Schools out here in Champaign, Illinois. And so I was teaching 3rd through 5th graders, and we're teaching them social, spiritual, and emotional learning, and also helping them mend that curve for reading levels as well. We're trying to help them be able to read and increase their literacy rates so that they can excel in school. And so for me, one of the main things that we're teaching at Freedom Schools is Black history. And so for an entire state to try and change their curriculum on Black history and ignore that is an insult. And so I am glad that Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated decided to get away from Florida and we can go somewhere else with our money because, as Brother Page said, money talks.
Money talks. You're absolutely right, brother. You're absolutely. My college brother's on fire tonight. Next, we're going to take the same question over to Brother Senator Sims. You know, Brother Sims, you have your hand in moving a $50 billion budget as an Illinois state senator. What is the impact on Alpha making such a move? Is there any impact? You know, the governor of Florida seems to be ignoring a lot of other groups. What impact do you think, what impact would you say that we had by this move?
I would say, well, first, let me say I applaud Brother General President Lonzer and the entire board of directors for standing up and being forthright and saying we will not be disrespected. But I'll recount, Brother Marshall, two different occasions and two different stories. You know, Alpha takes great pride in leading the way. And one story, I was at church, and a member of another organization, another one of the Divine Nine organizations, came up to me and said, "We will go where Alpha goes. We will follow Alpha in this fight." The world is watching. When we stand up, and brothers have often heard me say, we're either at the table or on the menu. And Alpha wants to set the agenda and set the menu so that we're ordering off the menu. So we are standing up in this space. So I completely applaud the action. The second story I recount, as I mentioned, I had several. One of my largest summer internship program I've ever had this year, and it's a mix of college students and high school students. And one of the young people, as soon as the decision came out, I was coming into my office for the day, and the interns were in their space and they were working. They said, Senator, could you come here for a second? So I walked in, and all the interns were sitting there and they were working, and they said, you know, we are proud of the Alphas. We are proud of the Alphas for standing up, because if nobody stands up, it will be like it never happened. You know, Zora Neale Hurston said, if you're silent about your pain, then people will kill you and say you enjoyed it. And that is exactly what's happening right now. To diminish the pain of the enslavement of millions of individuals by diminishing it and saying that they benefited by achieving and obtaining skills. That is offensive beyond belief. But again, for individuals to somehow suggest that we should be okay and our pain should just go away, that pain doesn't just go away. That is generational trauma, and it happens and is continuing to happen. And that's why the elimination of affirmative action in college admissions is so offensive, because it is that attack and the continued attack on who we are, is that continued attack on diminishing what we stand for, and we will not stand for it. And our dollars showed it, and I'm so proud of my brothers for doing it. And I hope we can attract and keep Alpha in places where our dollar is respected. I would love to attract Illinois. I would love to attract. I'm biased, and I make no bones about it. I am biased about Illinois, and I would love to have all of our conventions here in Illinois, because Illinois is a state that respects the progress that we have made as people, but also as in continue to invest in Black people, and we will continue to invest in Black people, but all people, because when you create those pathways to success, we can all rise together.
Yes, absolutely, Brother Sims. Someone told him, "We are proud of the Alphas for standing up. We are proud of the Alphas for standing up." They gave me goosebumps, and let me get my head out of Florida and come back to Illinois. So we're gonna go on back to Brother Habib. We have a question specifically for you from Devin Munoz, and you know, as Brother Sims just said, that someone said to him, "We are proud of the Alphas for standing up." Brother Habib, in what ways are you connecting with local communities in the Urbana-Champaign area to provide a sense of mentorship and guidance for youth? How are you standing up locally?
Well, this is an excellent question. As I previously stated in my previous answer, I worked for Freedom Schools here at it was at Bottomfield Elementary School here in Champaign, Illinois. And so I had that one-on-one contact with the youth. And so what I do want to plan, because that motivated me, that 6-week program motivated me and told me that, hey, this job is not done with influencing the youth and, you know, exposing them to Black professionals and putting that chip on their shoulder, like, hey, your country is telling you that you can't be something, and I'm here to tell you that you can. And so in terms of just like how bros do in Chicago, we need to be working. College bros need to create that pipeline. We need to create that direct pipeline with Dream and other organizations that are oriented towards the education of people of color and Black students. We need to be a part of these organizations. So we need to build that coalition with them. And I plan to work with my graduate chapter, Zeta Xi Lambda. And as you can see, Brother Drake Mateer, he's actually one of the graduate bros, a part of Zeta Xi Lambda, who influenced me and encouraged me to become a servant leader intern for Freedom Schools. And so organizations like these are aiming towards educating our youth on African American history for sure, because these other schools aren't. Students nowadays, especially in Champaign and other local communities at my school, are undergoing racism from their own instructors. They've given me a multitude of stories, different stories about teachers not even letting them use the washroom, all because of their existence. And so it is up to college bros like us who have that, we're the closest towards one to their age, closest towards Black professionals, for them to see. We need to simply expose ourselves into these type of programs, whether it be mentorship or teaching them, and show that and showcase Black professionalism, show that so they know that they can become that. And so what I want to do is work with my graduate chapter so that we can create that direct pipeline so that bros here in Illinois can be able to aid these type of organizations. And I will support what Brother Page said about also in being more inclusive, because this is not just Alpha's job. This is a job for all of us, not even just D9 organizations. This is a job for people of color to stand in coalition and help and be a part of this change for educating the youth over here on our campus. So that's kind of what I'm trying to plan to do.
Absolutely, brother.
This year.
Thank you. And we're gonna take our last question. Brother Habib said something very important. It is up to us to educate our youth and other folks in our communities, on our history. This final question, this is on topic. This is on topic. Very on topic. This final question is for you, Brother Shaw, and then we will give every brother 1 minute to wrap up before bringing back on our Illinois District Director, Brother Dr. Leonard McKinnis. Brother Shaw, this question is from Brother Jordan Brown. How can we stand by our vision of aiding those who aren't taught their own history while pulling out funding, influence, and outreach from these same communities? We just heard Brother Habib talk about how we need to educate our own. This question again for you, Brother Shaw, comes from Brother Jordan Brown. He asks, how can we stand by our vision of aiding those who aren't taught their own history while pulling out funding, influence, and outreach from these same communities? Brother Shaw, the floor is yours.
That is a very complex question, and I appreciate the question. One of the things that that led me to the school board when I was a school board member is the fact that you can either get upset about issues or you can get off the sidelines and get into the game. I think we need to have brothers that are willing, and brothers and Black people in general that are willing to go after these seats of power. And when you're in those seats, you can make the changes. Like, in our school district, we protected our curriculum. We protected Black history, and we were active. Is what I'm trying to say. We were active. We did not sit back and wait for something to happen. We made it happen. And I think that is one of the ways we can address that, is to take those seats of power.
Absolutely. Thank you, brother. So we are going to move into our closing. You all will receive 1 minute to close, and then we'll bring back on Brother Dr. Leonard McKinnis. And it's so good to see you all here. I love hearing Brother Habib talking about the mentorship he received while being a college brother. I'd like to point out and say thank you to one of my mentors who I remember talking about wanting to be an alpha when I was standing in my mama's living room, Brother LG Sims, who was getting ready he was having his baby girl named Kennedy back when I was a young man. I'm still kind of young. But with that, we're going to move into our closing statements. We're going to go to you first, Brother Page.
Thank you. And thank you, brothers. And I do appreciate this opportunity. I think that I know that we have to continue to fight. Even if our arms are too weary, we continue to fight. And we have to learn to multitask because it's not over. And we have to look at all those different opportunities and different avenues to take, even though the Supreme Court on June 29th, came out to say race-based affirmative action programs are unconstitutional. They did leave a little crack in that door. So we need to look at those opportunities as well. How do we make that work? And for us and for other people. And continue to work together and have these discussions and then have an action plan after this and let people know that we're not comfortable with things that happen to us that makes us uncomfortable. When do we have to say, Black man, it's okay to just take it like a man? I'm not exactly sure what that means, but if we're uncomfortable with it, we need to say, I'm uncomfortable with this. And this is what we're going to do about it. So I appreciate this opportunity. And I appreciate you inviting the ACLU here. And we will continue to work with everyone. And we appreciate, before I go, I appreciate the work that my brother, Senator LJ Sims, has done in the great state of Illinois. Yes. If you guys do not know, they've done great work in this state. We no longer in the state of Illinois have money bond. So, we're the leader. And Senator, and with this whole thing with Senator Sims and Representative Slaughter and all of that and Speaker Welsh and all of that, you brothers, we need to understand that they took great pain and almost great defeat from people when they moved all of this stuff forward in the state of Illinois. So I'm happy for you, LG, and I'm happy for you that when we stood with you, and I'm happy that you stood with us, and I'm happy that all of you brothers continue to stand with each other and have that back. And even if it's just a phone call to say, LG, I appreciate what you have done. And because I know he goes through a lot of stuff during the day sometimes, and some of the things that he stood on were not very popular in this country. So, but we continue to work together, and I look forward to continue this discussion and continue to work of Alpha. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Page. Thank you. And thank you so much for that closing. We're next going to go over to Brother Habib, then to Brother Doug Shaw, and then we'll have the final closing for the 1 minute closing to Brother Senator Sims. And thank you, Brother Ken Page. We'd like to give out a shout out to our fraternity brother, Brother Speaker Emmanuel Chris Welch, the Speaker of the House and the Illinois legislator. So with that, Brother Habib, will come over to you, and you should note, I don't know if you can see it, you have quite a rousing fan club cheering you on tonight in the chat.
I just really want to say, as I said before, it really is truly is an honor to be on this call and just share my perspective as a college brother on campus now. And thank you to everybody that's giving support for this panel. This conversation is the first of many. And this is just us pulling out of Florida was just the initial step. As alphas, we are initiators. And we've done it in the past, and we're going to continue doing it too. Honestly, I'm ready to work. I'm ready for the action part. It's time we organize. This is a part of organization. Now it's time for the mobilization right after. And so, whatever work needs to be done, especially on campus here with our community, I'm going to try and do my part and get bros engaged to do that. And hopefully we can be on something more nationwide in the future. Well, the job is not finished. So it's just time to work. Absolutely.
Thank you, Brother Habib. Next, it is time to work. Brother Shaw, Trustee Shaw, we're going to come over to you next, and then we'll be moving right on over to Brother Senator Sims.
Well, I just want to say it has been a pleasure, and I want to thank the committee again for inviting me. I'm in awe of my fellow panelists, and I want to especially say that our college brother on the panel lets me know that our future is secure. We have brothers of his caliber, and our future is secure. I want to reiterate that we need to go after those seats of power. We have to be active. And that means directly as a candidate or supporting somebody that you know is going to do the things that we need to be done. We have to have an agenda, and we have to hold our leaders accountable and put people in power that are going to forward our agenda. With that, have a great evening. It has been a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Trustee Shaw. Brother Senator L.G. Sims, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Brother Marshall. Brothers, it has truly been an honor to be a part of this esteemed panel. As Brother Page was talking, I was thinking about the work is never done. And Brother Habib, to hear you say that you're ready to work, I'm with you. Our history at being engaged in work started well before today. Jewel Tandy said, I went through hell founding this organization. I want something done about these problems. Yeah. We're going to fight till hell freezes over, and they'll fight on the ice. That's what we're supposed to be doing right now. We need to fight on the ice. Just today, there was Brother Page mentioned the elimination of cash bail in Illinois, which makes Illinois the first state in the entire nation to do this. I got an email today from a constituent who said, I need you to go on the Kankakee County Criminal Justice Committee hearing. Your name was mentioned. The Kankakee County Sheriff, who has never called me, who has never said one word to me, got on this meeting this morning and attacked the elimination of cash bail. He attacked me, called me a liar, said I had not, he has no reason to say anything to me. Here is someone who is supposed to be charged with upholding the law. Now we have individuals, but that is the mindset, and that's why I talk about the opponents to progress. We have individuals who are out there who are going to do everything possible to eliminate gains we have made, because that is the essence of what Make America Great Again means. If you didn't believe it, you heard it right out of the 45th president's mouth. I don't say his name. The 45th president's mouth. He said, the good old days. In the good old days, we could treat them. He wouldn't be able to say that. In the good old days, he wouldn't be able to act that way. Well, in his version of the good old days was where men were treated as boys, where black people and black men and women were seen and not heard. That is not where we are as a society. That what you're seeing now is the power of our voices. So we have to continue to fight on the ice. We have to continue to lift up our voices. And I am just so proud of my brothers who are standing in the gaps, who are standing in this moment. We're standing up in this moment. Brother Shaw is absolutely right. And he and I have been talking about and preaching this all night. We have to get into the halls and fight on the battlefields where these battles are being fought. Because if we stay silent, people will kill us and make it seem like we enjoy it. And that is just not the case. Brothers, I'm so proud of you. I am honored to be a part of this discussion. And I will close by reiterating something our great college brother said. Let's get to work.
Absolutely. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. And Brother Sims, I just have to say, continue to hold high the light, because for that gentleman that called you a lie, we only know you to be the truth. And brothers, thank you so much for joining us tonight. In my closing words, I will utilize the words of Justice Brown. While they eat cake obliviously, the only way out of this morass for all of us is to stare at racial disparity unblinkingly, and then do what evidence and experts tell us is required to level the playing field and march forward together, collectively striving to achieve true equality for all Americans. She went on to say, it is no small irony that the judgment the majority handed down will forestall the end of race-based disparities in this country, making the colorblind world the majority willfully touts much more difficult to accomplish. And I end. No one benefits from ignorance. Thank you very much, brothers. With that, I'd like to bring back on our district director, brother, Dr. Leonard McKinnis.
Brothers, you all killed it tonight. What can I say? This has been a fantastic conversation. I brought back with me Brother Michael Gaines, chairman of the Illinois District Committee on Racial, Social, and Economic Justice. Brothers, this is what we do as Men of Alpha. We make noise and we go after critical conversations when some refuse to do so. Let me thank, on behalf of our district, the entire panel for your commentary tonight. I want to especially, brothers, send a significant shout out to our college brother. Alpha Phi Alpha develops leaders. And our college brothers showed up tonight with that alpha excellence, that alpha spirit, and showed us what it means, in fact, to hold up the light of this great fraternity. To my dear brother Senator LG Sims, thank you. We know you have an incredible job down at the Capitol. And you were right, Brother Corey Marshall, as the chairman of the Budget Committee. We know that you are always busy, so that you would take your time out to come with us tonight means a heck of a lot. We thank the ACLU for your work in fighting for our liberties, and indeed, Brother Doug Shaw, not chairman, but a board member over there at Western Illinois University. So, brothers, we're going to keep this discussion going. We're not going to stop. We will look out for a call to action that you'll see coming out of this committee in the very near future as we continue to train our college men and work with our alumni chapters to get their feet on the ground and do the work of Alpha. Brother Gaines, as the chairman of this committee, I will give you the privilege, my brother, of having the last word tonight. Please come on and have the last word for us.
Well, I want to thank all our panelists. Every one of them, when I called and asked, would you be on this panel? Nobody said, let me look at my schedule. They said, yes, ready to serve. And I'm definitely want to put those words that Brother Doug Shaw said, we had to get in the seats and fight. So I want to congratulate and continue to know that we're going to support Brother Marshall as he runs for Congress too as well. He's trying to jump into that seat that we were talking about so that we can continue to do that fight. And of course, my pops, LG Sims, who's always been a role model for me ever since an Alpha, and Brother Ken Page, who I maybe get on the ACUL as well from doing this work. And I just met Brother. I really appreciate you. He didn't even know me, and when I called him, he was like, yes. So I want to thank the panelists, and I also want to thank my committee too as well, who continue to do the work. We have more to come. This is just the first, and we're looking forward to change in Illinois. And as the theme goes, moving Illinois forward, that is what we're going to do in Alpha. The last thing I'm just going to say is, the things that we continue to do in Alpha, we have never stopped doing. From Alpha Day at the Capitol. Folks think we come to Alpha Day at the Capitol and we're just there to take a picture and photo. It's not about a picture and photo. We are in there working. We are in there talking to our legislators. If they know us or don't, we're in there talking to them about bills, about things that are going in our communities. And this basically is a spear off of us working in Alpha Day at the Capitol. And so I want to thank our district director for trusting me with the vision for this committee.
Yeah, and I'll just say this, Brother Gaines, thank you. In my last comment, let me acknowledge all of our brothers and guests in the listening space. At our peak tonight, we had nearly 100 viewers joining us in tonight. The video will be available to continue watching. We'll make sure to get it out to our chapters. And again, let me say a word of thanks to my Midwestern Regional Vice President, Brother Frank Stacy, for entrusting me to do the work in this district, and also a word of thanks to the General President of our dear organization, Brother Dr. Willis L. Lonzer. Those are our leaders. I am proud to work with and for them. And together, this district will partner with our region and our general organization to push Illinois forward. In the virtual space, good night. Thank you, and we will see you soon.